Hello, everybody. My name is Wayne. Welcome to Heavy Metal Sanctuary. Well, I've already did an album ranking for Black Label Society, and then I did an album ranking of the guy that gave Zach his big break, Ozzy. And today I'm going to complete the circle and do an album ranking of the band that Ozzy started with, Black Sabbath. So I'm going to be ranking 19 albums altogether, and I'm going to rank them by score. So in last place, with a score of 3.00 out of 5. Their 18th album from 1995, Forbidden. So Forbidden for me, no, doesn't have any really standout tracks. A couple of decent ones. I won't cry for you, Guilty as Hell, Sick and Tires. I enjoy those songs, but other than that, there's nothing for me to really enjoy. Like again, a 3.0 out of 5. In 18th position with a 3.04 out of 5, their sixth album from 1975 is Sabotage. So I know a lot of people like Sabotage, but for me, there's nothing really that stands out for me on that album. I don't enjoy it all that much. I like Hole in the Sky, thrill of it all. Other than that, nothing a whole lot that I enjoy on there. In seventh position with a score of 3.26 out of 5, their 11th album from 1983, Born Again. Born Again, there's one outstanding track I really do like on there. It's called the 8-track Hotline. Digital Bitch is decent, pretty decent. Other than that, for me, it's pretty filler. Nothing really, that stands out. The only thing it ranks a little bit higher because it does have that, hot line that really stands out above the others that have no tracks that stand out at all. In 17th position with a score of 3.28 out of 5, their fifth album from 1973, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. I know I'm ranking these early Sabbath albums pretty low, but to tell you the truth, that era is a bit too doomy for me, a bit too psychedelic, a bit too experiments. I know it's sacrilege amongst Sabbath fans to have these albums rank so low, but that's I've always preferred the '80s stuff that sounded more heavy metal than the doom stuff. So of course, the title track, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, is the one standout for me. That other than that, there's good tracks. Let's say again, a lot of experiment stuff like Fluff. I mean, I'm sorry, you can say what you want. I don't listen to Sabbath to listen to tracks like Fluff. For that song for me, that album would come really low. So that's that for me. So in 15th position with a score of 3.43 out of 5 from 1994, their 17th album, Cross Purposes. So I like Cross Purposes. It's starting to be better for me. Cross of Thorns is my favorite songs on that album. Um, there's one songs I really despise on that. It's called Virtual Death. Uh, Other than that, it's all good tracks. They're all I like all the tracks on it, except like I said, Virtual Death, which brings the score down quite a bit. Other than that, I like the album. In 14th position with a score of 3.52 out of 5, from 1978, their eighth album, Never Say Die. Once again, I know it's Ozzy, it's the last with Ozzy until 13. That came, their last album that came out. Uh, you know, it doesn't sound like Sabbath. It's pretty, more rock than heavy metal, right? Of course, my favorite song is "Never Say Die" on that. That there's some decent tracks. A Hard Road, Swing the Chain, but there's quite a bit of filler in there too for me. Not really my cup of tea when it comes to Black Sabbath. All right, in 14th position with a score of 3.52 out of 5. Their fourth album from 1972, Volume 4. Tell you the truth, I thought that score a bit higher for me because I remember when I heard it the first time, like, wow, this is really good stuff. But upon re-listening a few times, there's only two tracks that really stand out for me: Snowblind and Changes. I like Changes. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I do like it. Other than that, you know, Languina Sunrise. Nah, quite a bit of psychedelic, I guess. Too much psychedelic uh, for me in that. Still a good album, you know, ranking in the mid 3.5s there, so pretty good. And in 12th position, I have the third album from 1971, Master of Reality, with a score of 3.59 out of 5. Now, I know, once again, a lot of people really love the album. For me, like I said, it's early Sabbath. There's a bit too much doom in there. A bit too psychedelic for me in there. Too much experimenting in there. What saves it, of course, are the Tony Iommi riffs. You can't go wrong with those riffs. But like I said before, it's I prefer the '80s heavy metal style for me of Black Sabbath. That's when I got into heavy metal. That's more my jam than the doom part. So of course, Sweet Leaf and Children of the Grave are my favorite. Other than that, Into the Void was good. Like I said, there's just elements of these songs that just parts of it just that I don't enjoy. The riffs are really good, but there's just parts of them that lowers the score for those songs for me that make it stand out. Like a lot of people enjoy those albums. In 13th position with a score of 3.64 out of 5, their last album from 2013 called 13. So this, of course, this is their last album, reunion with Ozzy. Uh, I thought it was a good send-off. My favorite song on there is the third song, Loner. Uh, Other than that, Live Forever, Damaged Soul, Dear Father, all good song. A couple fillers, I guess. Age of Reason, didn't really enjoy it. But that is a really solid album. In 10th position, with a score of 3.68 out of 5 from 1992, their 16th album, Dehumanizer. Uh, you know, I really enjoy that album. Um, my favorite song is a 9-track called I. Uh, but all of that, I find they're really good, solid tracks. Maybe one song I'm not very, very big on, After All the Dead. Didn't really like that one. But all the other songs are really solid. The only thing that keeps it from being higher is like that's just the one track that I find really outstanding. In ninth position, I have their first album with a score of a 3.68 from 1970, of course, Black Sabbath. And like I said, when it comes to like Black Sabbath, like the legendary tracks, I've always preferred the songs from their early albums. Like those are the legendary tracks. But when it comes to like a whole album, I just like their '80s stuff better, right? As a whole album. But if you take in individual tracks, the early Sabbath by far is better for legendary tracks. And that also includes that album, right? The Wizard, NIB, Black Sabbath, Warning. I really enjoy Behind the Wall of Sleep. Phenomenal stuff. But there's also stuff that, Evil Woman, Don't Play Your Games with Me, Sleeping Village. It just, for me, they really do not they don't hit the spot at all, and that keeps the scores lower. Like I said, I am ranking this according to the score I give the album, not like just the legendary tracks on it. So as I'm trying to more like as a whole instead of just, oh, this one has this track, so it's my favorite album. All right, so that was the ninth spot. Eighth spot with a 3.70 out of 5. Their second album, Paranoid. Once again, you can't argue with the legendary tracks on that album. War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man. You know, there's nothing to argue about those tracks. But for every songs like that, you had like songs like Rat Salad, Hand of Doom, Planet Caravan. That I just don't like. Too much psychedelic, too much experiments. So it's still a good score, 3.70 out of 5. But those tracks keep it from being a lot higher, like most of the early Sabbath albums, like I mentioned. All right. In seventh position with a score of 3.80. So now we're gone territory where I find those albums like really, really good. From 1981, their 10th album, Mob Rules. The second and last one with Dio. Typical 80s heavy metal. That's why I'll rank a little higher. Favorite song is The Song of the Southern Cross, and probably one of my favorite. Well, definitely my favorite Dio Black Sabbath song, but in general, one of my favorite Sabbath song over and over again. I find that hits hard. I just love the downbeat of it, right? Other than that, Voodoo is okay. Turn Up the Light, pretty decent. The Mob Rules, good songs. I do have a Slipping Away. For me, as a filler that lowers the score of that album. But in general, 3.880 is really good. In sixth position, with a score of 3.86, their 13th album from 1987, The Eternal Idol. Once again, 1980s heavy metal. Iommi is just awesome on them. The Shining and Hard Life to Love are my two favorites on that. I find actually the title track's a bit of a filler for me. Didn't really enjoy it. And Ancient Warrior wasn't crazy. The rest are all really good. But yeah, The Shining, Heart to Life, those ones for me are my totally outstanding tracks. Really enjoy that. In fifth position with a same score of 3.86, their seventh album from 1976, A Technical Ecstasy. And the reason I do like it is it does sound different for Ozzy. So it's not as doomy as the rest of the stuff. It's like one step away from, how different Never Say Die would be, right? But you can see the trend going towards less doom and more rock, hard rock, heavy metal, right? So that's why I'll rank a bit higher. Of course, You Don't Change Me and It's All Right are my two favorite. There's also Gypsy is good, Rock and Roll Doctor, enjoy. Backstreet Kids, not crazy about. And She's Gone, not didn't like that one either. Other than that, really good stuff. I really enjoy it. In fourth place, with a score of 3.96 from 1990, their 15th album, Tear. So yeah, Tear. What can I say? I really like it. It hits the groove for me. It's that type of heavy metal I really enjoy. I just love Iommi's riffs on there. My favorite song on the whole album is It Feels Good to Me. On that, there's not one filler. There's not another song that's really stands out as Feels Good to Me. But there's no mediocre track. All the rest is just solid. The Lawmaker, Jerusalem, the Black Stones, just good solid tracks, right? And because there's no weak tracks, no filler, what I call a filler track, the score is pretty up there. All right, in third place with a score of 4.04, their 14th album from 1989, Headless Cross. Once again, it's an 80s heavy metal album for me. Just my type of of music that I really enjoy. So for me, like I said, it'll beat the big doom sound of the early albums. Uh, Favorite songs are the second track, Head Cross, of course, the title track, and Devil and Daughter. The one song I'm not too fussed is Kill in the Spirit World. Other than that, all solid stuff. So third place with a 4.04 out of 5. In second place with a 4.17 out of 5, their 12th album, 1986, 7-star. I know it was supposed to be a Naomi solo album, and I guess the studio butted in and kind of forced him to release it as a Sabbath album. But yeah, it's so good. His riffs on that album are just so good. My two favorite songs on there are No Strange to Love and Danger Zone. No filler on that. All other songs I really enjoy. Uh, you know, hence the score. So I really like that album. And for me, in first place, with the same score as 7-star, a 4.17, is the first with Ronnie James Dio as singer, their ninth album from 1981, Heaven and Hell. So yeah, for me, that's heaven in heavy metal. You know, it's it sounds Dio. You know, you can see where when he went solo and created his own album, it was that style he was going to sing because he was just born to sing that style song. Neon Nights, Die Young, and of course the title track, Heaven and Hell are my total favorites on there. Once again, there's no filler, there's no weak tracks. Everything's so good. Children of the Sea, Lady Evil, Wishing Well, Walk Away. They're all good songs. They're all good songs. So yeah, I give that a 4.17 out of 10. It's in my first position. And without any all that, that is it, guys. So I'm sure it's way different from most of you guys. You probably think I'm completely cuckoo for having that type of album rank with Black Sabbath. Once again, I do like their legendary hits are my favorite from the early albums, but as a whole album as a whole, I just prefer their heavy metal era than their doom slash psychedelic era. So that's just me, guys. That's how I was wired. That's when I came into heavy metal. I like my heavy metal straight, not too doomy. So, uh, you know, don't be afraid to leave me a comment. Write what your ranking is. I'm pretty sure those early albums will come a lot higher than me. So, you know, just tell me what you think. So if you enjoy this, give me a thumbs up. If you don't enjoy it, still give me a thumbs up because I try. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, have a good day. Bye.